Welcome to Change by Attraction, because you don't have to push, prod, persuade, or punish people to create change in your organization. I'm your host, Esther Derby. I want to tell you a little bit about why I started this podcast. I realized early in my career that even though my job was writing code, it still involved change. The programs I wrote changed the way people did their jobs, and sometimes how they felt about their jobs. And it wasn't always a great change for people. In one way or another, all of the jobs I've had have involved change, whether it was as a programmer, a team lead, a dev manager, an internal consultant, or in the job I have now as a consultant and guide helping people make changes in their organizations. I became a student of how change happens in complex human systems many years ago, and I've been observing, living, and catalyzing organizational change for 4 decades. I wrote a book about it. 7 Rules for Positive Productive Change, Micro Shifts and Macro Results. And the book is a set of heuristics that I distilled after seeing what worked and didn't work across many organizations. Many of the change efforts I see in companies fail, or they may succeed in training a lot of people or getting their compliance metrics to look good, but they don't really change the outcomes. They don't really change what happens in the organizations, how successful the organizations are, or how people feel about working there. No matter how well designed it is, training doesn't touch the underlying systems. Methodologies may succeed in getting people to follow a certain process, but they leave the underlying structures, policies, rewards, and budget processes in place. Reorganizing looks really dramatic and it can look really decisive, but it only changes one aspect of the system and may actually disrupt networks. So efforts like this barely ruffle the underlying system that's causing or contributing to the pattern of results and outcomes that organizations see. If you really want to change things, you have to understand the pattern and what influences the pattern involved, and pay attention to and honor the people who are involved. These are some of the biggest pain points I see around organizational change. People may not want to change with the enthusiasm and speed which is desired. This often gets labeled as resistance. Nothing really changes. People invest tons of money and tons of effort in a change, and the results are not significantly different. People try to succeed through persuasion or positional power, when really what helps to change organizations are networks and influence. People rely on a standardized process to change a whole organization without regard for the context in which people and teams work. So you end up with something that's a one-size-fits-all that doesn't fit anybody very well. It doesn't have to be this way. When you work by attraction and catalyze change and work systematically, many of these problems fade away. This podcast is about a different way to catalyze change in organization, one that honors people and attends to complexity. I'll share what I've learned about change, what works, what doesn't, what gets in the way. I'll share ideas and strategies that may run contrary to popular wisdom, but I have seen work in many places. And I may have an interview from time to time. So tune in. I'll be releasing a new episode on the last Wednesday of every month. Try out the tips and ideas. This isn't all talk. I'll share actionable ideas that you can put to work in your organization. And I'll put any resources for a particular episode in the show notes so you'll have access to them. Let me know how it goes. You can email me at esther@estherderby.com and tell me what's worked for you, share any puzzles, share your success stories, and maybe you'll come on the podcast. Whether or not you have change management in your job title, your job involves change for your team, for your department, for your entire company. I hope you'll see your organization and change through a new lens, and that you'll be able to catalyze change in your organization. Thanks for listening. You'll find references and links mentioned in the episode at changebyattraction.simplecast.com. Check out my website and blog at www.estherderby.com. You'll find lots of articles about change, and you can sign up for my newsletter there. If you enjoyed the podcast, please let your friends know and rate it on Simplecast or wherever you get your podcasts.